expecting more than 50 people, but the media always scares people with this weather situation. Welcome anyway to the TAG Government Technology event. We're going to listen to Jeff Stovall. He is the CIO of the city of Charlotte. Is it Charlotte and Mecklenburg or just Charlotte? Okay. And he flew in and is going to talk about the experiences and all the new stuff that he's working with at the city of Charlotte. But before that, and our distinguished guest is going to introduce him, we need to talk about our sponsors. So thank you to the two sponsors. Number one, Intel, and number two, where's
Richard Stanier is not here tonight. It's the Ross Group.
Okay, Ross Consulting. Correct. So that's all we have to say about them. They paid the wonderful food and everything else. And if you know anybody who can sponsor this event, let us know. So let me introduce you very quickly the different committees. I'm the chair of the TAG Government Society. It's a new society out of the 30 societies that TAG has. If you're not a member of TAG, it's a good time now to join. Today, a lot of the events are like this. A lot of food, a lot of drinking, everything is free. You just pay for $240 a year, which is amazing. It's a bargain. There's two of these things to pay for the whole thing. The society has 5 committees. One of the committees is the events committee, and then just one, Andrea and Sui, to stand up because they have done a tremendous job with they are our events committee people. All this crazy stuff, you know, and participants, everything. Then we have the state and local society, and Jeff is here. It's the chair of the society. Jeff works for the GPA, Georgia Technology Agency. Where's the marketing committee? Oh, the dynamic, the 3 musketeers here. Jason, Brad Hendricks, I'm sorry, and Adam Shekarada. That's number 3. I'm missing the federal government society. Oh, here she is, and Bonsaman over there. And Desiree is here. And the membership committee. If you want to join, they're not here today, so don't ask any of the others. So it's my great pleasure to welcome Jeff Stovall. He paid his own ticket in his own hotel. This society is brand new, so we can't pay him for the expenses. Next year we will. I promise. We're raising funds from the sponsorships. And he's going to talk about the city of Charlotte and what they have done in terms of smarter cities. But for that, I welcome the CIO of the city of Atlanta, our own city of Atlanta, Michael.
First of all, thank you guys for allowing me the opportunity to stand before you today and present I think that since I've had the opportunity to really go and talk to him just briefly, which was really recently, now that I've read, I'm really excited to hear what he has to say today. Jeff has, in my opinion, really exciting background. He's done some things in the private sector. I think he's proven himself to be a dynamic individual, and certainly has an education background itself. MIT is pretty impressive. So I don't take it lightly the work that he's done to get to the point that he has become the new CIO for the city of Charlotte. New at a relatively new, because I think he joined there of Charlotte had the foresight and thought to actually embark upon, if you will. They created the office of the CIO. They saw that there was a need there, and saw they take the city of Charlotte to a new place. Well, actually they did. Some information that I've had the honor of reading was that the city of Charlotte received the top 10 digital city, I think it was, in 2011. That's a pretty amazing achievement. And one that I hope is Charlotte. Well, we'll see. We're pretty big entity there, and I'm excited to hear what he has to say. I hope that you welcome him and give him a rousing, warm welcome, a round of applause as he begins to take the stage, and when he leaves as well. How about that? And we're going to do a little thing here in Atlanta. These gentlemen can come up. Let's get him and give him a warm welcome. How about that? You with me? So without further ado, Jeff Stovall.
Services in a way that is more fitting for the technology that we have in place today. So I'll spend a few minutes talking about that. The cloud, everybody's talked about the cloud. Everybody's saying what should we do in the cloud. We've started some of our own cloud applications. The thing that we're talking about today, we're going to talk about later our system and our CRM, how we've started CRM and IVR, interactive voice response system in the cloud. Where we expect to go with that by adding artificial intelligence. The architecture cornerstone strategy, we'll talk a little bit about that because it's really fundamental to some of the things that we're doing behind the scenes at the city. Some things that a lot of cities have already done, but as we're really developing our technology and trying to become more coherent in the way we deploy technology, we deployed also a new strategy around that. And Virtual Charlotte, which is another application that we have developed. That was an application that was awarded by the Public Technology Institute as one of the top applications for a mobile version and a version that's on the web. So I'll give you a snapshot about Virtual Charlotte and we'll talk about what that is as well. So, but just to start out, everybody understands what mobility is doing in the technology realm. I certainly don't have to explain to this audience what mobility just getting ready for this presentation, I found this set of statistics by Cisco. Anybody from Cisco? Nobody from Cisco. Surprise, but there's typically always somebody from Cisco in the crowd. But I found these statistics from Cisco, and some of the statistics are just eye-popping when you start thinking about it. That the mobile traffic last year was 3 times the size of the entire internet in 2000. That we're going to see mobile traffic grow 2.6 times in 2010, and we're going to be nearly triple for 30 years in a row. Mobile video exceeded 50% of the traffic in 2011. Mobile video, we weren't even talking about it just a few years ago. Mobile data traffic will increase 26-fold between 2010 and 2015. So if you're in the business of running a city government, you can't ignore this. You can't ignore this. These are global figures, but they do translate to the local realm as well. You can't ignore that our populace, in terms of the use of technology, is moving more and more towards mobile applications, more and more towards having their mobile device be the primary device for internet communications. And when you see some of the numbers that are over on the right-hand side in terms of where that stacks up, how you see mobile stacking up, look at mobile numbers, and the numbers for both web and data. Those are still small relative to mobile video. Mobile video is something that's becoming more and more prevalent. How do we, as a city, take these trends and translate them into services that we can provide for our citizens that really meet their needs? One of the things that we have done with the city is we've come up with an application called My Charlotte. Now, we first developed this on the iPhone application, on the iPhone platform. We now have it on Android and on BlackBerry. We also have a version of My Charlotte that is a device and it can be accessed with just a browser. It really serves as an extension of our 311 call center. Do you have 311 here in Atlanta? Yeah? Not yet. Okay. What you do probably have here in Atlanta is the Blue Pages. You guys ever use the Blue Pages? The old telephone books, the Blue Pages? You ever want to find a government service in the Blue Pages and try to figure out who is called? It's tough. And from what I understand, you have a lot of municipalities around. And that makes it even more complicated in terms of trying to figure out who you call to service which types of needs as a citizen. What we did 5 years ago, we had our 5th anniversary this year, was to consolidate all of our call centers in the city into one call center with the number 311. Just like you can dial 911 for emergencies, you can dial 311 to get non-emergency services. So anything that you need from the city, and in our case, from the city of Fort County, you can call 311 to get information on. So if you want to find out about trash, you want to ask about what's going on with transit schedules, you want to find out something about are we open on certain days, anything that relates back to service that citizens get from the city or county can be accommodated by the 311 call center. But it is a call center. And in case you haven't noticed, a lot of people now who are going out on the radio don't like to call. They don't want to pick up the phone. They want to text. They want to use applications on their mobile devices. And we see this as a growing trend. And so My Charlotte was our first opportunity to try to address that trend and try to move some of the services that we have in the traditional call center environment onto a mobile platform. So it consolidates a lot of our cloud-facing applications, citizen-facing applications in the cloud. So we do have a cloud application that's behind this that powers it. It's a platform that we get from a vendor called GetAbby. I'll make references to the GetAbby platform a couple of times in this presentation, but it's helped us to move all of the different back-end systems into a front end that we can present to our citizens in a way that's coherent. And as I mentioned, it's usable on most of the smartphone platforms, unless you have a Thunderbolt. You got a Thunderbolt, I need to talk And we also do English and Spanish support. We have a very large and growing Spanish-speaking population in the city of Charlotte. So we wanted to make sure to accommodate as much of our population as we could with the applications that we're developing. The second mobile application we deployed is called Ride Paths. So I gave you a series of screenshots here to kind of give you a sense of what Ride Paths does for our citizens. Our transit authority was looking for a way for citizens to be able to see bus schedules and see times for when buses are going to arrive on their mobile phone. So we went back with our partner at Abby to develop the Ride Paths application so that you can see from a series of screenshots, you can see where the stops are in the city. You can choose individual routes, choose routes and individual stops for each of those routes, and you can also see how much time is going to be before the next bus arrives at that particular spot. Now, we have been using advanced vehicle locator technology in the city for several years. We've been using it for internal operations primarily. We need to know where our vehicles are. We need to know if something breaks down, where is it, if we need to find out where vehicles are that there shouldn't be. We have that capability. So virtually every vehicle in the city has ADL technology attached to it now. But this was a way for us to take the technology we're using for internal fleet and operations purposes and provide it back to our citizens, provide it back into value-added services to our citizens for ADL technology we already have embedded. It's some cost in terms of what we already have to provide in incremental investment. So we came up with the Ride Paths application. It's proven to be relatively successful. It also allows citizens to be able to see not only the buses, but the trains. We have a light rail system in Charlotte that just opened a few years ago. And so now they can also see how much time is there going to be between the next light rail stop. So again, it's another way of being able to take the technologies that we have in our back office and present them back out to the citizens, because that's where we want to be operating. We want to be operating with as much of the information that we can provide back to our citizens as possible. Additionally, we also use Google Maps and Google Transit Planner as part of this app. So if a citizen wants to figure out how do I get from one end of the city to another end of the city, they can use Google Transit, which has a feed of our information from the city to figure out what combination of buses and trains that they need to take to get to that location. Again, it's another way of being able to facilitate for our citizens information that we already have. Artificial intelligence in our IVR. One of the things that we try to do in our environment is to look at where we take out some of our legacy applications, some of our legacy environment, and replace it with cloud-based applications. So I've talked about GetAbby. GetAbby, actually, when we first approached them, were doing some work with us. Really, they were known for creating artificially intelligent avatars for call centers. And it seems very weird. I don't know if you've ever seen this actually in action. Everybody's used an IVR. Everybody's called an IVR. You've had some sort of interaction. Well, GetAbby takes this to a different level. They can actually do a visual avatar that is a real person's shot that talks to you, that is able to parse the conversation, break down the conversation, figure out what are the topics within the conversation, reflect that back to an internal knowledge base of information that you have, and then come back with an informative answer for the caller. It's a unique technology. There are not a whole lot of places that are using it, but JetBlue, I do know, uses it quite extensively. So as we were looking at putting together the IVR, one of the fundamental notions was we needed to make sure it was going to be connected. So we had the GetAbby IVR also with our mobile applications. So we have a CRM in the background that's also in the cloud. We have a knowledge base that consolidates information from multiple sources across the city into the cloud, but being able to parse with the inference engine that we have with GetAbby. And we have multiple language tools, so we can also support Spanish and English more information about what's going on in the city. Again, that's what the call is. The big thing that drove us to really look at this technology was the cost. We're spending about $4 per call every time somebody calls in, with the amount of time it takes to manage the call, and of course the cost that you have in managing the infrastructure. About $4 per call. We get about 2.1 million calls a year. Using this technology, we expect that we can divert at least 10% of those calls, and we're hoping we can do more as we get more sophisticated and more comfortable with the use of the technology. So for simple calls, and for 311, most of the calls are pretty simple. What hours are you open? Can I get somebody's phone number? Can you tell me what day is my recycling pickup day? Those are very simple and repetitive calls. A lot of our calls have to do with utilities. People want to know about their bills. So those are calls that we could upload to our intelligent avatar to handle those calls without having to have human interaction and driving that $4 per call cost. With an Avid system, we're typically under 75 cents per call. So it's a big difference, especially in these times. I don't know if we have the same problems down here in Georgia that we have in North Carolina, but for the past few years, revenue has been kind of low. And so all the city governments have had to figure out how to squeeze more out of what we got. In some cases, cut off services that we used to have. Our 311 service used to be a 24-hour service, 24/7. Now it's 5 days a week, and we operate 10 hours a day because of these cost reductions. We're hoping that if we can enable some of these capabilities with automated systems, that we can restore some of that service time back to our citizens. One of the things that's not really all that flashy to look at is the back end. Back end is always the thing that the IT people get really excited about and nobody else really cares about. Well, GetAppy has a back end that we're really excited about. The thing that we like about having this particular cloud application that's really enabled us is the ability to integrate across multiple systems in the cloud. So when we're talking about channel strategy, how do we communicate to our citizens? What are the channels that we're going to use? So what are the vehicles that we need to get in? We still have to be able to integrate communication. We have to be able to understand. If a citizen calls for a water bill problem on one day, but they decide to follow up with an email on a different day, how do you integrate that information? You have to have citizen relationship or customer relationship management systems in order to be able to do that. GetAppy gives us a very nice one from a back-end perspective for our mobile and our IVR. So two of our principal ways, two of our principal channels for our citizens to get integrated in that so that we can really start to track how our interactions are going and we can have more proactive follow-up with citizens as they come through our different channels. So we also want to integrate this with a more complete future 311 CRM system. The current one that we're using, when we started, we just started the homegrown system. Oracle Forms is what it is. And so it's something that's outdated. It's not very flexible. It doesn't have as much capability as we'd like to have, and we still have to program. We still have to do our own internal development. So we're going to plan, we're planning now to replace that. But in the meantime, we get a lot of capabilities from the cloud-based system that really are attractive for us and help us to integrate information for our citizens. So in terms of our channel strategy, you can see we labeled the system Ask Margaret. That was the name that we called it out of GetAppy. We called it Ask Margaret. But Ask Margaret is a way that we can integrate a lot of those streams that come in, our email, our voice, our mobile, our web. We can use all of those channels through a centralized system to parse that information, report it, determine where it needs to be handled, who has handled it, how to route it, and then make that interconnection back in to our legacy systems in some cases, but our back-end systems. And we have a lot of back-end systems, and I'll show you a slide here later on about how many back-end systems we have. But it's a way of being able to integrate, because what we really have to do in servicing our citizens is to integrate information. about how do you take all of these different points of connection, bring them together so you can generate information that tells you more about how you are serving, or in some cases not serving, citizen needs. And citizen service is clearly one we're focused on. So these systems help to support the mission that we have at the city for providing comprehensive citizen service to our citizens. It's part of our balanced scorecard. It has been part of our balanced scorecard for the past 10 years. We're finding new ways of being able to employ technology to enable that mission. So, talking about lots of systems. I would expect you to try to read this slide. This is a slide that was generated for us by one of our consultants. And this is just illustrating the fragmentation that exists in our financial management environment. So we're not talking about customer relationship management. We're not talking about work and asset management. We're not talking about all of the other systems that we have to operate as well. This is just in the financial. So every one of those little purple circles you see is Excel spreadsheet. Every one of those blue, light blue circles you see, or ovals you see, is an access data. We have, in the larger white, some of the larger systems, and pink ones are core systems. But suffice it to say, we have hundreds of various systems, hundreds of various artifacts to manage just for financial management operations. We've built this up over decades. And I know many of your companies operate pretty similar. We have lots of shadow systems because not every centralized system can't meet all you need, so you can introduce shadow systems. A lot of our shadow systems at the city were introduced over a period of 30 years. We've had the same mainframe codes, financial application, 30 years. So it's time to change. It's time to do something different. And we need to reduce this fragmentation because this fragmentation is very expensive. Very expensive to maintain all that because you don't have information integration. You're not reusing information. You're retyping information. It's all over the place. So what we've done to try to reduce the fragmentation in our organization, we introduced a concept called our architectural cornerstones. We wanted to simplify it so that people kind of get it because when you start talking about hundreds and hundreds of ovals, people don't really get that. But if you can just talk about cornerstones, what are the things that we're going to build our foundation on? What are the things that we really need to have in place and put together in a different way in order to be able to lift our capabilities as a city? So we have 4 of those foundational cornerstones for us. We need a new ERP system. Like I said, we had a 30-year-old mainframe financial system. We need a new ERP system. We're in the process of doing that today. We have an RFP that's out right now for the acquisition of a new ERP system. That's something that Atlanta did a few years ago, consolidated with PeopleSoft. We didn't do that. We're tight in Charlotte. We can't do insurance in some cases. Mobile applications really cost us a lot to move forward. But once we got the finance and the budget people on board, it was clear that we really needed more capabilities in terms of analytics to get rid of those shadow systems that were costing us money. Talked about CRM. Well, we have a homegrown CRM system. It's time to grow up a little bit and get a more capable and more commercially viable system for us. Working asset management, we call it RAM, but that's our enterprise work management system. More than half of the people who work for the city work out in the field somewhere. They're either firemen or policemen, or they're out fixing roads, picking up trash. More than half of the people we have in our organization, if I include public safety, probably more like 3/4 of our people are out in the field. So we have a lot of systems in the background that also are for dispatching, for asset management, for work management, and we have 14 different business units. 14 different business units don't all use the same system. They're siloed. And our organizational structure has come about over the past 15 years because we did manage competition in Charlotte. We took our business units, we used to have 25 divisions, consolidated those 25 divisions into 14 business units. The 14 business units all had a mandate to find services within the business unit that you can compete with private companies. We did that 15 years ago. 15 years, we've gotten pretty good at that. We've gotten pretty good at reducing the cost of our services, increasing the quality of our services that are competitive with anything that we can outsource. We just recently, in the past few months, recently let go of our last major outsourcing contract, and this for solid waste services. We have 1/4 of our city that was outsourced for trash pickup. The other 3/4 of the city was competed by the city government and actually won. But we had 1/4, so we got rid of that 1/4 through managed competition was working for us, and we weren't able to get any more efficiencies out of it. We won the last 1/4, but what we did, in order to still maintain efficiencies, is we then took one contract for all of our recycling services across the city. We have 96-gallon totes that come out, and we pick those up every 2 weeks. So with that service, now we can keep that. I say all that in terms of trying to understand our technology, because my fundamental belief is that any technology that's employed in any organization is fundamentally a reflection of the culture of that organization and how that organization has decided it wants to work. We decided 15 years ago we wanted independent entities within inside of our business that were fully capable of competing on the outside. That meant that they had to have technology inside of those silos that they could manage. It meant that they had to drive the cost down so that they were competitive with the waste pickup firms or other firms for water treatment. They had to be able to drive those costs down, and they did that. They were fantastically successful in doing that. They were also fantastically successful at setting up essentially 14 autonomous units that don't reflect a single city. Now we've realized that we've gotten those cost efficiencies, and I'm sure you've gone through this in your own businesses. You've gotten the cost efficiencies, but you've lost the enterprise efficiencies. That you don't have the scalability of the full size of your organization. And that's what we were facing. So when we came up with this architectural cornerstone strategy, it was to really reflect a strategy of the business of how do we get the full scale of our enterprise. We have 6,700 employees. We're not a collection of mid-market companies. How do we get the full scale of our organization? So this strategy was about trying to pull that information and pull those systems out of those individual silos, raise them to an enterprise level, and make sure that we had the right level of efficiency and cost in those systems to make them more productive as for the city as a whole versus individual business units that had. So, but at the end of the day, our mission is still about citizen service. How do we manage our citizen interaction? This is one graphic that we came up with that describes for our senior leadership how do we see the interaction of all these different technologies to the various functions that we perform for the city and to our citizens. And so I'm not going to go through this point by point, but suffice it to say the integration of all of our customer relationship management systems and in some cases some of our workload management systems is imperative if you want to operate as one city. One of the things that we talk about as a colloquial is that we've had situations where we have extremely efficient business units, but we can go down a road, tear up the road to lay out a pipe for a new water system. And that business unit goes over there, covers that pipe up, patches it. The next week, another business unit will come in through and say, it's time to resurface this road. Tear up everything that you just put back together, and then resurface the road. Well, while you're resurfacing the road and while you're turning it up, you're going to have some problems with trash pickup for people on that street. They're not going to be able to get their trash picked up either in the same way or the same time they used to. The integration of all that information is important if we want to service our citizens better, because our citizens really don't care if it's the water department who put in a pipe, and it was the Department of Transportation that resurfaced the road, and it was the solid waste services who picked up the trash. All they know is the city did or did not live up to my expectations. And so as we're talking about how do we integrate that information, CRM is becoming a more and more important tool for us in terms of its prominence, in terms of where we want to position it to be able to deliver that integrated service for our citizens, to be able to understand right hand, left hand, as well as of feedback and requests we're getting from citizens. In Virtual Charlotte. Virtual Charlotte is an application that we created, again, to be able to present information to our citizens in a way that they can easily digest and reuse information that we already have. We have tons and tons of databases. We have tons and tons of data. But we don't have always good ways of sharing. Virtual Charlotte was one of our things to be able to do that. So all we did was very simple. We took a Google interface. We took our GIS mapping capabilities, which are very extensive, as they are in most large cities. Took our GIS information. We piped our GIS information into Google. Because whether you know it or not, your city that you're living in probably has more accurate information about where the streets are and the center lines are and how everything is configured, where parcels are, has more information than Google has, even though it's public. So we piped that information into the Google interface. And then we took our operational information that we have from those 14 different business units and started putting it on a map. So now you can see from this particular one, this one just shows utility leaks, where we had leaks that fixed, major leaks, minor leaks. Put all that on Google Maps. So now citizens have access to this information. They can use Google, something that's easy and intuitive for them to use, to find out more about services that are going on at the city. And they can just use the tools that are built into Google to be able to view where everything is. You can take a look at the view that's there. You can use the capabilities that are on the left-hand side to see multiple services. So you can see lots of services all pulled together, but you can just see one set of services. Not only do we do this for our citizens, but we also have an internal version. So our internal version has even more information that we use for operational purposes. Our people in 311 love this. They love it because they're about integration. If you think about it from the perspective I just talked about, consolidating our call center, our 311 folks are they are our information managers. They're the people who are at the front line of our citizen requests. In our 311 environment today, we have 15 different applications that run on that desktop. It's 15, used to be 14 we added. It's 15 different applications. Running on a single desktop, there are very different applications. Water applications, things for animal control, things for reporting taxes, 15 different applications. It's a very difficult environment for call center because you have to train your call center takers on multiple applications, how to parse those multiple applications in a short enough time that you can keep that $4 per call figure. In fact, it's such a complex operation that we can't even really get everybody on it. We split our groups into pods. We have about 100 call takers. And we split those call takers in pods of about 25. And of those 25, those 25 are trained on a subset of those applications. They don't get all fixed. But any call center has high turnover. You can have a city. Our turnover is less than it would be convergence. But we still have high turnover. And so with high turnover comes high training costs. So what we found is anything that we can do to make it easier and faster for our people to come up to speed as they're experiencing turnover makes it much more effective, much more efficient at being able to run this operation. Anybody can understand that against the type of tools. And so this particular application has been very, very well received by our 311 and being able to integrate all that information. And we've also enabled it for a mobile platform. So if you've got an iPhone, you've got a Android, you can go and look up Virtual Charlotte and you can see the property values of houses in Charlotte. You can see that. You can see where all of our responses to on our 911 system have been. You can see that. Now, we generalize some of that information so it's not, we don't reveal personal information of individuals where it is required by law, but in some cases it's required by law that we expose it. So in the case of the city, being able to expose what people paid for their houses through the records that are in the county, as well as being able to report tax records, that's all public information. So that's information that's available in Virtual Charlotte. It also reduces costs for the city because it keeps us from having to deal with individual calls coming in for freedom of information requests when the information is already on the site. So where does this all lead up to in terms of what we're trying to accomplish and how we're trying to accomplish it? This is a one-page summary that I use to describe our strategic direction. As I said, it's my firm belief that the technology that an organization uses is really a reflection of how they want to operate and what the culture of that organization is. And so as we went from in our organization, we call it run the business. That was managed competition. We had an independent, silo-based organization that says, we're going to keep this part of the business, we're going to make sure it's very efficient, but the rest of you stay out of my hair, stay out of my way, because we need to do this portion of the business for the citizens. Instead of just having that silo view of how we service our citizens, we coined the term in my office called empowered enterprise. So now we're not just talking about how do we run efficient businesses, but how do we empower an entire enterprise in order to be able to use the information across our entire set of business units. So my office really works at driving this enterprise application and security, creating that foundation. One thing I didn't talk to you structurally about. Structurally, the office of the CIO at the City of Charlotte is part of the city manager's office. We're actually part of the city manager's office. We have a federated IT structure, so our business units still do retain some of their IT application support in their business units. But the ownership of the portfolio for the city, the ownership of the portfolio, the ownership of our spend belongs in my office. So none of the business units can actually spend any money until it's been approved by my office in terms of architecture and portfolio, and making sure we're going in a consistent direction. So we really started off in our first few years. We're not just creating a strong foundation of enterprise applications and security. As you saw, we have a lot of fragmentation. But now that we've got a model for that, now that we have momentum about that, we're really evolving. We're evolving to driving more seamless and secure information processes. We're stop focusing on the assets themselves and start focusing on how we use them. How do we get that seamlessness across our business? How do we get the people who are in the police to actually talk to the people in fire and share information? How do we make that happen with these processes in order to be able to do that? And we do have a consolidated infrastructure services group in our IT shared services. So all of our infrastructure is in place in one organization, and that consolidation is just completed this year. So the first few years that I've been at the city, we've been really focused on maintaining and consolidating that IT infrastructure. That was federated to a large extent too. Now we consolidate it a lot. But once you get beyond consolidation, once you've moved it all to the same place, you still have to work on those processes. You still have to refine those processes in order to make sure that you're delivering the most value. So we're in a mode now of scaling and optimizing agile IT processes. Any of you have ever been in a situation where members of the business side say that IT is just not fast enough, not good enough, they don't really know what it means? Well, we're working on that and trying to develop more agility in our IT operations and our processes. How we meet those needs. Well, one of the things that we recognize is that at an enterprise scale IT operations group, we actually have more capabilities than any other individual business. We may not have as much flexibility, but we have greater scale. And as a business is facing problems with scale inside of the organization because we're still a growing state. That's where we can add new value to the organization by focusing on how to scale with the chip. How do we get virtualization working in our organization so we can bring up applications faster than you can if you have to go out and order a server and put it under the desk, which is somehow how are you able to turn up your testing services in a way that you can do more comprehensive testing faster on application? Testing is something that in a mid-market size type of organization, they don't put as much emphasis on as an enterprise. We have the scale to be able to do greater testing. So how can we manage our IT operations that really allow us to use the scale of the whole city, but bring that to bear on organizations that need agility and flexibility? So that's where we're headed. But this notion of evolving comprehensive citizen service is really important, because comprehensive citizen service is the lens that we use to talk about how do we service our citizens, how do we make sure that what we're doing delivers value, how do we make sure that we're not doing something that really ought to be done by the private sector. There are some functions that have been outsourced, they're going to remain outsourced, but they're not major functions. But there are functions that we recognize that we can't do internally as easily and effectively and cheaply as within the private sector. So how do we outsource those things effectively and make sure that we're always delivering value for our citizens? So comprehensive citizen service is the shorthand, the lingo that we use to describe that at the city. But it's an evolving model. It's an evolving model. It's not static. Like I said, we started using balanced scorecard over 2 years ago. We've been using it continuously. But after a while, balanced scorecard gets stable. It gets rough. And you have to refresh it. You have to look at how your strategy is being operated and how you exercise and optimize the organization differently. And so now that we're looking at ourselves as a single enterprise and how to manage at that level, comprehensive citizen service is also taking the lead. It's also starting to look at issues that go beyond just the application of technology. They're just complex issues to deal with. Like, how do you deal with the issue of homelessness? How do you deal with homelessness in the city? What are some of the things that you need to find that are root causes of homelessness? And what are the prescriptions that you can do? Clearly, that's not an IT issue in and of itself, but there are tools that we can bring to bear in the IT environment that help to serve that mission. We can bring analytics. We can bring data warehousing. We can bring the ability to capture information over the web versus individual applications that get exercised in individual charity organizations. So we work with a lot of charity organizations. We fund some charity organizations. But we all have to collaborate as a community in order to be able to solve these bigger issues. So as we talk about comprehensive citizen service, again, to me, it's not really about the technology itself. It's about how do we want to service the citizens, what is going to be the culture that we exercise in the service of the citizens, and then bring in technology that fits and enhances and builds upon that. So those are the things that we're focused on to try to make sure that we remain a top city, that we keep growing, and that we're always going to be an attractive place for people who come and live in the district. So that's all I have in terms of presentation today. But I would like to take some questions and see if there are any questions that you have about what we're doing, what we're not doing, and why we're doing it. Or if you want to ask about my plan. Any questions?
I want to take you back to your open plug and mobile app with the Armstrong and the Right app. I'm curious, you talked about those mobile apps. Were there pre-existing web apps that did those functions that you just sort of added mobile in on the parallel? Or did you skip right past the go straight to the mobile app that did sort of that, conventional web-based?
Yeah, mostly we skipped the web apps. Because we didn't have the consolidated backends, we have to build the backends for the web apps to have them in the service. We did have some forms on our website. So you could fill out a form if you had a complaint about somebody's dog barking. Well, where did that form go? It went to an email that got serviced by a 311 staff. So there was less automation there in terms of being able to bring that directly into the system that provide that back to the service. So going to the mobile environment, in many regards, we just completely skip. What you see with the Ride Cats environment is something we did not have enabled on our website. Now, curiously, now that we're doing it in the mobile environment, we're bringing it back onto our website. We're bringing those capabilities back onto the website to be able to do that. That was another question right there. Well, another question around how do we manage emergency services. With emergency services, again, the culture is different and the needs are different. And so most of what I presented, particularly all of what I presented today, was really focused on non-emergency services. Now, on the emergency services side, we're making some well. We have just implemented a unified 911 system across all of our emergency services, fire. So that includes fire and medic, which is in the county, which is not a city function, but they're going to be using our 911 system as well, and police. Now, we consolidated Charlotte and Mecklenburg police 25 years ago. So we have one police force for Charlotte and Mecklenburg County. But fire is still a segmented service. There are services that are offered by the county, and there are services that are offered by the city. So having a single 911 system is a huge leap for that organization, because it allows us to shave valuable seconds and minutes off of our response in an emergency. As our fire chief is one to say, when you're having the worst day of your life, seconds matter. And when people call 911, they're generally having one of the worst days of their lives. And so we put into place some additional systems to be able to manage that and share the information across. So the 911 system is about the telephone, being able to take the phone call and make sure it's routed to the right place. But we also have a computer-aided dispatch system that we use. And we've also integrated on our CAD. Now, that sounds like a fairly straightforward, and it sounds like a kind of no-brainer. Well, I really encourage CAD. In municipalities, most police and fire groups fight. They fight. And it's not something that you necessarily see on the surface, but both of them have prominence in organizations because of what they do for the community. And so there's always conflict between police and fire. We have a new fire chief, we have a new police chief. They decided if we're going to serve the citizens the best that we can do, we need to hear their voices. It's the latest. We need to work together more closely. So they decided, they said, we've been thinking that this is a great idea for at least 10 years. We haven't actually done it. We're going to do it now. So in December, we got approval from our council to have an integrated CAD system that allows computer-aided dispatch across fire, and eventually medic. Medic has not decided to come up with it yet. But eventually medic, to be able to have that emergency response to citizens and get a seamless response. It used to be that if you called 911 and you had a medic issue, you would get routed over to the medic CAD for dispatching. And that would take seconds. Seconds are important. Our fire chief, rather, tries to make sure that we have position stations that we can get to any emergency within 4 minutes. 4 minutes from the dispatch hitting that station to when the environment on the scene. 4 minutes. Very short time. So 4 minutes and 30 seconds. You go from 4 minutes to 30 seconds to 4 minutes. You're really making a difference in people's lives. You could die in 30 seconds. So the cultural differences in that part of our organization were significant too. But the chiefs in both of those organizations recognized that we couldn't do comprehensive service unless we got hold of that. And so we had to build those systems, and the systems are definitely integrated into our GIS. They're thoroughly integrated into our GIS system because essentially our GIS systems manage all of our location-based information. And if you think about any city, any municipality, you're defined by location. Everything we do is related to a location. You might get one service if you're on one side of the street. You might not get any service if you're on the other side of the street and you're in a different municipality. You might not get any service from us. You might get service from another municipality. So location really defines everything we do in the city. So GIS is something that we've been doing for 20 years and do very well, but it's generally in the back office function. And most of what people see about GIS has been maps. You see a map that shows the information about the city, where people live, these are the responses, and this is these are the poverty rates in that side of the city, these are the distances going up. That's the type of stuff you typically see out of GIS, but we really maximize our GIS. That's why GIS is one of our cornerstones in our architectural cornerstones. Really taking that location-based information and thoroughly integrating it into operations. Because an ERP system, by nature, does not have geographic information embedded in it. You got to find a way to force it. For us, those are generally administrative systems. They manage people, they manage money, but they don't necessarily manage location. So we have to really force location awareness into our ERP in order to be able to really reflect what is our mission, how do we operate. So that's a long answer to what you're talking about. But clearly the integration of location-based information and being able to do that thoroughly and well into all of our operation systems is one of our key things.
You mentioned you were using CRM now.
Yes.
And you're moving to a more robust CRM application. Have you started that analysis of that system finding and so on?
We have not selected it, but we have done analysis. And the reason why we haven't pulled the trigger on that, quite honestly, I have held that up. And the reason I've held it up is because I know our organization right now is not capable of doing two really major fundamental transformational projects at the same time. So we are already in our ERP. So I put the CRM, the comprehensive CRM system, to follow the ERP system. Because fundamentally, my thought is you can't manage your money, you don't know where all the money is, whenever you want to know it, all the other stuff is secondary in terms of being able to improve service. So we do have a homegrown CRM system, like I said, we built on Oracle Form. We do have the CRM Lite that is in the cloud. We do expect you to replace that Oracle Form system with something more robust. We have an doing analysis. We have a preference, but that preference might change between now and the time we actually make a purchase.
This seems to be the best product, right? When you talk about any projects, you think about the timeline and the cost. So assuming that if you are recommending something that's to get a timeline, what this would take? What are the countries that are people to get something? What kind of timeline and cost?
Well, it first starts with the elected officials. And so, in a municipality with the elected officials, they are the governing body for that organization. They are the chairman or the board. In our case, the mayor is the chairman of the board, who is not the chief executive of the city, which is very different than it is here. And our chief executive at the city of Charlotte is the city manager, manager council form of government, not a strong man. But it starts with the elected officials. And the elected officials have to be able to make the connection between what services they're hearing from their citizens they are or not doing well or need to do better, and how do we execute that in terms of technology. And so when we're working with the elected officials, we have to give them information that they can go back and have a conversation with citizens about. Part of the soundbite around that ERP system was that you're not getting the procurement information that you want. So you don't know about all of the companies that we're using at the level that you want to know. We can't produce those reports because we have a vSAM in the back and not a relational database. We have a real hard time being able to produce that. And we have a system that's 30 years old. And I asked the question of our city officials, what system were you using 30 years ago? What computer system were you using? Do you remember? And if you do, think about that and it's still the same financial system we have in the past. And that convinced them. That got them thinking that, hey, we really need to modern. We're going to be a modern city. We're going to grow the way we want to grow. We need to be able to address those things. So it really starts with the elected officials and understanding what is their vision for the city, how do they want to take the city, and then being able to provide the capabilities to live. Does that answer your question?
I just wanted to know how much you spent.
Oh, that's it. I thought you were asking how to convince them how much we spent. Right now, we haven't spent a lot. If you look at the mobile systems, we got approval from the council for $250,000 for all of our mobile activity. And this is just the first three phases of our mobile platform with 5 phases. So we got 2 more phases to go. $250,000 there. We expect to do more mobile applications. We've asked for another $150,000 this past month to do more for other business units, like our fire business unit wants to be able to do some things with mobile as well. So that's another $150,000 there. Our GIS has really been embedded some cost because we've been doing that for so long, but we invest on the order of about $1.5 million in GIS a year outside of just staffing. outside of the staffing costs. As we look at ERP for us, that one's been a big one to really think about. We have a number in our budget right now, $15 million. We're assessing whether or not that's the right number, but that's what we have, and that came about as a movement of funds from part of the general fund that we weren't going to use as an emergency fund into our technology fund. So, and it's millions of dollars. It's tens of millions of dollars that you clearly have to invest. Our budget with the city, by the way, is $1.6 billion. $1.6 billion is the total budget. So, as a percentage of budget, are we on target? Probably. But we are probably lagging in some of the major investments that we need to put in to make sure that we're going to earn everything.
Are you seeing ROI? It has to go, right?
Yes. And I think that's a good point talking about ROI, because I have an MBA, I understand financial analysis, I can do this kind of cash flow. But in the public sector, we're not profit, we're not for profit. So our earnings, there's not going to be earnings in a lot of cases, and some of our projects can't be borne out purely on cost reduction. Some of them are about providing better service. Some of them are about providing service. So I don't really talk about ROI, because I think ROI is a construct, it's a financial construct that doesn't translate 100% to the public sector. I do talk about benefits of investment. What are the benefits that we are trying to establish? And making sure those benefits are consistent with our budgetary constraints. So we don't want to blow our budget trying to get technology. But we also have to be mindful that we're not in it for a profit. We know that. But a lot of times when we have interactions, even with our city council, particularly the new city council people, when they're trying to acclimate, they're coming from the private sector, they may not necessarily make that translation directly.
I apologize for this interruption, but do you think representatives will see it back here tonight?
I suppose my question is potential discussion. How's the adoption rate been among citizens of people who use users? And with that question, I guess, connected to the other ways to subsidize some of the costs, and not an ROI standpoint, but subsidize some of the costs to pay for some of the extra things that you have to do with some middle projects or even web projects.
Our adoption has been good up to this point. Now, to put it in context, we introduced our first iPhone in October. So it hasn't been out there very long, and we haven't spent a lot of money in terms of trying to promote it. We have, at this point, of the iPhone and Android, we have about between 5,000 and 10,000 downloads of that. And our population at the city is 730,000. So it's a small drop in the bucket in terms of the total population. But you're not going to expect the total population has smartphones or cable. And we have the BlackBerry version. I have a BlackBerry. I uploaded the BlackBerry version. So we try to make sure that we can get down the curve as much as possible. But given in any city, you have a wide range of economic environments. Not all of your citizens are going to have these capabilities of the digital divide. People have heard that for years and years. It's true. It exists. And so what we do see, though, is that not necessarily what we have today, but what are we preparing for tomorrow, because it's that curve that I'm concerned about, not necessarily where we are in 2010. But we have to develop these capabilities, because even in an environment where there's a digital divide, you may have seen some statistics here recently. I just saw it was a Wall Street Journal a couple of weeks ago that says when people are in economic stress, when you're talking about people who are at the bottom of the economic curve, they'll drop their landline, which may include broadband access, before they'll drop their mobile. So they're going to keep the mobile. It's cheaper. You got to have two. If you got two right now, you can't afford two. Which one are you going to keep? You're going to keep the one that you can take with you. Especially if the costs are relatively the same. So what I see is that there's going to be a propensity for people to continue to have mobile phones, continue to use mobile phones, and the cost points for our capabilities are going to stay, the cost points are actually going to drop, but it's expenditure points might stay the same. So what you can do for $200 today with Thunderbolt is miles ahead of what you can do for $200 5 years ago. And so that is what is driving the adoption curve, particularly at the lower economic values. It pushes up on the ability of people to be able to access this information. And that's why that mobile platform is so important, because it starts to get across all of our economic realms, not just the people who can afford iPhone 4.
We can stand up for a couple hours.
We will not get it.
GIS.
Yes.
GIS team, where do they align organization? Both on the functional side and the technical side.
Okay. Our technical end of GIS is consolidated in our IT shared services. That's where our technical support exists. But like I said, we have a federated IT structure. So we have IT application support across all of our business units. So most of our business units have GIS analysts within them. Where we align that is we have a governance structure called the GET, which is the GIS Enterprise Team, which gets together to decide how do we manage as an enterprise with our GIS platform. We have a consolidated vendor. We only use one vendor for GIS, principally, besides what we just talked about with Google. But principally we use Esri as our GIS vendor. But we want to make sure that we have a unified platform architecture across the organization. So I have a GIS strategic planner who reports to me, my team, who helps to ensure that we have consistent standards, consistent application. We have one way of managing GIS across the state versus 14. Other questions? Okay, last question. Last question. Oh, sure.
I have a question about, you're saying that you were able to get down to 14 core business units by basically giving them tracks and more efficient what a private competitor would need. So it seems like a lot of these successes you have been because of those units already having a certain amount of efficiency. You were able to go away and add here. So I guess really the term you're looking for is see like the doing. It's kind of a chicken and egg problem. Were you able to have such success on the IT side because those units were already so efficient? Or were they made efficient because it was an IT-led effort? The IT challenge to make them competitive with the competitors in the private industry?
I'll answer that question a little bit differently than you asked, because I don't believe that the competitive advantage or the ability to compete that the business units had was principally because of their IT infrastructure. I believe that their IT infrastructure was implemented in a way to service the business unit at the most cost-effective point possible. And that doesn't always necessarily mean the best solution. For example, in our utility, we service approximately 250,000 households in our utility. And we have, I wish I could quote, but we have billions of dollars in infrastructure in our utility. We were managing those assets with a pair of asset and work management applications. They were created by one guy, Mr. Lawrence, and I knew that with him. And we did that on team. And homegrown system, essentially, we had a few other clients, other cities, most of them were smaller than Charlotte. But when they chose that system, they chose it based off of the size we were. They weren't looking at using it outside of utilities at all. They had this one guy who, at least at the beginning, was very responsive, but at any day, he can win the lottery himself. But we were managing billions of dollars of assets off of two asset management systems that one guy cooked up somewhere in Colorado. That's a risk. Now, if they had spent $2 million, $5 million with a brand name system like Maximo or N4 EAM, if they had done that, they would have had less risk in the application, but they would have driven a lot more cost. And that's cost at the time, because of our organization, they would not have been able to share across multiple business units. So they'd take all that cost on themselves and driven themselves into a point where they'd be less competitive. So IT is uniquely positioned to do what And so that's the real change of mentality. It's not about doing everything on the cheap. It's not about just getting what you need right now, just getting by, and living along with a shoestring for a decade, which is what we did. That's how we got so much fragmentation. Really now it's about thinking ahead. How do you plan with the full capabilities of the organization? You can use that working asset management system across multiple business units. Now you spread the cost, the fixed cost associated with it, and you've got a support structure that's much more robust. You've got more people who know how to use it, you've got more people who know how to use it, that means they can be more expert, and they actually use features that you didn't use before. So there are a lot of advantages in moving to that enterprise model, but there's a lot of resistance because you still have that old culture that says, well, we're going to do it, we're going to do it for us, and we're going to do it as cheap as possible. So you have to change how people think about what is really cheap and what is not, and what the risks are associated with it. That was the last question.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Stovall.